Unlike characters based on fantasy or superpowers, idols are probably the last thing you'd expect to see in a TCG. However, despite having this aesthetic of flashy dresses and stage poses, some idol archetypes have ended up being very successful in terms of revenue or even becoming part of the competitive scene. If you ever thought idols were only there to sell merchandise, well, turns out they can also destroy you in tournaments. So, if you want to get into the world of TCGs and show that you're a fan of idols, then this video will be pretty useful for you. However, there are too many TCGs with an idol theme, so we'll divide them up into two groups, those with idol archetypes and those who use idols in collaborations. Hello, this is Chou, once again talking to you about idols on behalf of the Idolmaster subs. Cardfight Vanguard, developed by Bushiroad, uses archetypes that are based on the nations and the clans they belong to. In this case, we are interested in the Magellanica nation, which contains a clan of mermaids called Bermuda Triangle. These divas of the sea utilize a mechanic that revolves around bouncing cards from the field back to the hand. With this mechanic, you could recover resources from the field and perform multiple attacks during your battle phase, or even defend yourself. Whether it was because of their aesthetics or their strength in the meta, this clan started receiving something completely unusual for a TCG: entire sets dedicated only to them. While other clans had to share space within a set, Bermuda Triangle boosters contained only idols. And that's not all, since they would prepare an anime entirely focused on a new mermaid's archetype. Colorful Pastrel, which was introduced alongside a new Grade 4 that doesn't even need to be in your side deck, this could be, to some, categorized as one of the most boring idol anime in history. The plot was very by the numbers, it made no reference to the card game itself, nor did the more recognizable cards from Bermuda Triangle appear. Even so, Bushiroad still wanted to continue profiting from idol materials and prepared Vanguard's first collaboration, in which Bang Dreams cards were added. Although using screenshots from the anime for the card art created a huge contrast with the hand-drawn artwork Vanguard had been using up to that point. In the current Vanguard Overdress format, Bermuda Triangle and the other maritime clans have been rebooted and now call themselves Lyrical Monastery. The powerful pirates, maritime commanders, and dark beings of the deep have all been transformed into aspiring idols living atop a flying whale. No joke. Although they are no longer just mermaids, but all kinds of monster musume with a human form. I think Bushiroad's obsession with idols is pretty clear. Even so, this is just the beginning. In 2017, Yu-Gi-Oh! Also wanted to create a meta-relevant idol archetype, so instead of using mermaids, they went with cyber fairies as the concept, and that's how Trickstar was born, used by the idol Blue Angel in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains anime. Unfortunately, Blue Angel did not get as much time in the limelight to showcase the true power of the archetype, though she did nearly defeat the protagonist using an unfair trap card that forces the opponent to lose their entire hand of cards and draw an equal amount. That said, what she was able to showcase was the true competitive application of the Trickstars, burning your opponent's life points through drawing cards, 200 damage at a time. And because Yu-Gi-Oh! Has virtually no resource limitations when making plays, you can absolutely watch that 8,000 life points your opponent has slowly drop to 0, sometimes without even a single attack being declared. So, if you're going to be playing against those fairies, you'd better bring some negation. Zillions of Enemy X is a TCG developed by Prism Kikaku and Broccoli, essentially the developers of the Disgaea and Uta no Prince Sama series respectively. It might be considered a niche TCG in Japan, but they managed to release 2 anime series, a manga, and a PS3 game. I can recommend the first anime if you're looking for something similar to a blend of Digimon with Persona. Just like nations and clans in Vanguard, ZX has worlds, such as Blue, Red, and Green, along with their respective tribes. Specifically, the idol-related ones are called Shift and Idea, the latter being based on an in-universe idol group that functions almost like a real-life one. Its members include Hikari Sonoyama as Kana, Asuka Shioiri as Arane, and Kokoro Nanami as Enju. Incredibly, Idea and Shift include songs and cards signed by the voice actresses. If the TCG has caught your eye, you'd better learn Japanese, although I'm sure you'll find many such cases. Of course, Bandai would have to have a TCG with idols. Ironically, Battle Spirits has collaborated with pretty much everything except Idolmaster, aside from a Haruka Amami promo card way back in 2012, but let's not get sidetracked. The Divas are an archetype representing idols that first appeared in 2013 during the Ultimate Battle era. This archetype belongs to the Yellow family, which is kind of like its nation, and includes idol decks like Shiny Hearts or Pretty Animals. However, what's strange, almost insane to some, is that the Divas actually have an official online visual novel. No exaggeration. It's not a manga, it's not a drama CD, it's quite literally a visual novel, and it was made just to explain the lore of the Divas. The craziest part is that, according to the lore, the idols managed to defeat the Ultimates, basically think mega evolutions of Digimon, and send them back to their dimension using the power of their song. The idols quite literally defeat the final bosses by singing. Someone might have to contact Macross about that. And of course, the song exists. It's titled Happy New World, which plays in Chapter 5 of the visual novel. It's performed by the idol group Yross, who have also participated in many songs of Pre-Para. Now, you already think that's a lot? Well, it turns out Divas is the archetype with the most support in all of Battle Spirits. It has so many cards that it even got its own dedicated art book, while the rest of the archetypes are all grouped together in one. On top of that, Bandai runs popularity elections similar to Cinderella Girls, where the winning idol receives more support and alternate versions, like Summer or Valentine's editions. Or rather, everything just goes to Ryoba, who wins almost every time. It's the mermaids all over again, once again. To wrap up this section, it's worth mentioning that among their many collaborations, they also worked with Aikatsu, which also belongs to the Yellow family. Y-Cross is a project created by Takara Tomy and the animation studio JC staff. The game's concept is very similar to Vanguard, where the gameplay revolves around each player's main avatar. However, the anime gave the card game a darker undertone, turning it into a kind of survival tournament. Now, what exactly does that have to do with idols? Well, nothing. Because they end up discarding that world building and decide to make a fourth season focused exclusively on idols competing for fans. How could they even think of venturing into the idol world in 2021? Just goodness. Let's just move on to collaborations. No matter where the idea for these collaborations came from, being able to play with our favorite characters will always be a joy. Weiss Schwarz is basically the Grand Blue Fantasy of TCGs, since it works as a massive anime crossover where each franchise has its own deck. Some of the most popular decks include Love Live, Bang Dream, Review Starlight, Umamusume Pretty Derby, Oshinoko, Zombieland Saga, Project Sekai Colorful Stage, and of course Idolmaster, which has been collaborating with them since 2009. Whether it's due to franchise popularity or competitive value, collaboration cards in TCGs can get pretty expensive. Plus, Bushiroad introduced signed cards in booster packs, which is incredibly rare in this industry, and they even use photos of real-life actresses in some cases. While these details make the cards look really nice, they are definitely not free, and they can hit your wallet pretty hard, especially when they're tied to a popular franchise or include special features. Another case that keeps these expensive costs is Union Arena. It has collaborated with Idolmaster series such as Gakumas and Shiny Colors. While they haven't necessarily made a huge impact in the competitive card game scene, I can't deny that the Shiny Colors cards look real nice with those golden borders. Honestly, I'd love to go into detail about every TCG, but there's just too many that have collaborated with Idol franchises. So instead, let's do a bit of a speed run, just saying the first thing that comes to mind for each one. Let's begin. Shadowverse Evolve. Developed by Cygames and even had a collab with Cinderella Girls, and it's fully in English. The Ultimate cards even come with hot-stamped idol signatures from the voice cast. Pretty premium stuff. Love Live official card game. Yes, believe it or not, Love Live has its own TCG called Loveka. It's fairly new, which launched early 2015, so hurry if you're interested, but as for now, it is only available in Japan. Duel Masters. The news of the collab with Hokago Climax Girls from Shiny Colors was one of the biggest motivators for this video. Plus, they have beautiful artwork. It even got special skins and avatars in Duel Masters plays to match. Rebirth for You. Essentially Diet by Schwarz. And it even did a collaboration with U-149. The set features tons of newly drawn illustrations of the smallest idols in action, which fans went wild for. Build Divide TCG. Wow, they actually included real-life idols in a TCG. They used fresh photography and autographed cards and the Nogizaka 46. That takes guts. Wait, it even had an anime? Precious Memories. I don't know if it's a company thing, but they had a lot of Vocaloid sets. Hatsune Miku and the gang got full dedicated sets with classic early Vocaloid vibes. Lycée Overture. This one's in a gray area since it focuses on visual novels but includes idols from White Album. Do whatever you want with that information. And lastly, we have 2 honorable mentions of a few soldiers who fell in the quest to be successful TCGs, although some might say that they are sacrifices for Bushiroad to succeed. Victory Spark, which had a collaboration with Love Live. It had some really nice signed SP cards, but sadly didn't last too long. And Chaos TCG, which collaborated with the Idolmaster One for All. It brought in a bunch of signature cards from the game, but also didn't stick around for too long. If I had a cent for every Bushiroad TCG related to idols that got discontinued, I'd have 2 cents. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. And I believe that covers nearly everything possible within the time I had available. This video is very different from what we usually do. It started out as a simple bit of curiosity and turned out to be much more interesting than expected. I most likely forgot to mention some details here and there, whether it be TCGs Ahead anime or just cards in general, so feel free to write in the comments whatever we missed out on. I hope you enjoyed the video. You already know you can subscribe, leave a like, or support us on Patreon for more translations. See you next time!